Hey guys, so lots of questions coming in about squatting, issues with squatting, back pain, hip pain. How would you manage this, Aaron?
Excuse me, I just burped.
That's really attractive, that.
My protein rice pudding that we
No,
had.
it's not. It's biscuits he's been eating.
Take 357.
Yeah, go on, crack on.
So I think once you've ruled out the possibility something going on with the back, I think you'd look upstream and downstream, and I think we plan on doing a couple of mobility videos to follow up on these tomorrow, or maybe the day after. So let's assume that the lower back pain is a consequence of whatever's going on upstream or downstream, as opposed to you've actually got problems in your back. So upstream, we look at the thoracic spine, the thick part of your rib, your spine where the ribs attach. Because of our very sedentary occupations, you might spend 7 or 8 hours sitting in a chair at the office or driving. Your thoracic spine becomes very stiff and tight. That tends to knock on into the whole of the spine. So once that's stiff, you then have to try and compensate the lumbar spine and the cervical spine. So addressing any tightness issues around there would be your first port of call. I'd then be looking at the hips. So lots of people when they're squatting run into what feels like a bit of a soft tissue block where they're running into the hip flexors. So hip flexor tightness, again with the preponderance for sitting down, tends to be another big problem. So working on through the hips, and again we'll show you some nice little tweaks of ways to get into the hip flexors, which actually sit all the way back into the spine. So they attach onto your lumbar spine at the back, and they dive kind of underneath your intestines to come underneath onto the sort of femur. So they're a big muscle, but not easily accessed. Hip joint can get really tight, so you can get almost like a capsulitis, where the hip joint becomes thickened, and that starts to restrict mobility. And there's several techniques we can use to address that. And then further downstream, and I think this is probably one of the biggest problems, as we say, is ankle stiffness. And that might be due to tight calf muscles, gastrocnemius, or it might again be due to the ankle joint being stiff. So I think rather than focusing on the area where you've got symptoms, and this is really common, you find a lot of therapists will just rub the bit that hurts. Checking biomechanics upstream, checking biomechanics downstream will probably give you better results in a faster way than just concentrating on the place where you're actually compensating and creating pain.
Cool.